This video is empowered by GreenManGaming.com. Get your games here for the fraction of the cost there. Metro Last Light was developed by 4A Games and published by Deep Silver. Now, this game was released on May 14th, 2013 and released on the European side on May 17th, 2013. Now, Metro Last Light is a stunning and grim adventure through the open and enclosed atmosphere of a metro system, where Moscow, which is in this case a alternate universe of the original Moscow, is in a post-apocalyptic theme, where, of course, heavy radiation is all in the air and you cannot go out there, otherwise you'll die very violently from gagging to death, as I found out a couple times within the previous installment of this game, which is Metro 2033, by the way. Now, Metro Last Light is, if anything, just an improved version of the first game. You aren't truly getting anything new and unique from this game other than improved mechanics and just feeling a lot more tighter and responsive than the previous game. So, therefore, it just feels like they did a damn good job with this game. So, every health kit as well as breathing apparatus plays a big role in your survival here. I, of course, ended up at some points going into areas where I did not need any health kits, but needed more breathing devices than I needed health kits. And it alternated every once in a while because I'd be able to be stuck in a heavy situation full of gunfire. And this game just requires you to do a lot of tedious planning ahead of the game. So if you die, you get put back in a checkpoint, which is sort of disappointing in this game, which of course I'll be following it through after one of my disappointments with this said title. The game does spot a fancy coat of the top-of-the-line graphics, as well as a grim and well-lit soundtrack, because everything flows together quite nicely in this experience. I truly love the graphics in this title, especially with the, of course, very dirty area, which you'll see very later on within this video. And there's an additional area beyond that, but I'm not going to show the nudity because I'll get in trouble. Okay, so there's a couple elements I do not like about this said game. That, of course, is being the DLC Ranger mode. Now, again, I wanted to be challenged with this title, but however, they took candy out of my hands whenever this game came out. Now, THQ filed for bankruptcy, which, of course, in turn, got placed into DLC for the said Ranger mode. So, therefore, if you want to play the hardest difficulty, if you're truly challenged, you have to pay $5 extra, which is, to me, acidine, and I'm not going to pay that, ever. So, that DLC could be free for all I care. So, now here's for the fun part, the negatives of this game, primarily being two, which I can honestly think off the top of my head. First, primarily being the autosave feature. There's no manual save in this game, so if you are the type of guy like myself who like to manually save the game, it makes it much more essential to be able to save at certain key points, so that way you can plan ahead and do an evasive attack. Or of course, if you're in a spot where you're supposed to be stealthing, it's also good too to be able to save in that said element. The game felt a little bit too on rails with this, and I think that, honestly, manual save would have done a lot of more justice to this game. Second and foremost, the challenge. While the game felt evenly paced and it was fun, it just didn't feel like it was really challenging me all that much. I could have wanted a little bit more challenge out of this game. Like, it could have been a little bit more on the kick my ass side. I was able to clear this game, and I didn't really feel any, I just didn't feel like I was being stopped too much, or the pace of the game was slowed down too much due to the difficulty of the game. And the next time, I hope they were able to allow you to manually save the game and, at key points, and be able to allow you to do, a little bit more of accessible freedom when it comes to that fragment. And next time, please include the Ranger mode if possible into the game. $5 for a DLC to make it even more challenging is a little bit ludicrous, in my opinion. Okay. The game, of course, is very fast-paced and very fairly paced, too, where some elements require you to think very carefully about your actions, because, at the end of the day, there's some morals in your system, right? And while this game does have a very deep and dark and gloomy atmosphere, the storytelling is quite decent. I actually enjoy it quite a bit. Adam Alexei Morale, or Mali, is the voice actor for Alum, which is the main protagonist in this game. And his main goal, of course, is to get to the said final destination. He has to get, to find, to locate a Dark One, which in the first game, as a spoiler ahead of here, if you never played Part 1, I don't think this matters if you're really looking at Part 2, is, well, quite frankly, Alum dropped a nuclear bomb, dropped a missile attack, killed every single Dark One as we thought, and now, supposedly, there's a reporting of a Dark One being out in the wild. It was his responsibility, as well as another ranger named Annie, to go out and kill this said Dark One, to eliminate it and get rid of it for good. Things turn worse, and before you know it, you become hunting the said baby Dark One. So far, guys, I felt like the game had a lot of good things going with it. It had a fantastic atmosphere, and the stratosphere of the characters in each one of the areas was quite cool, but it also felt like I was on rails half the time as well, where you would go into a new location, want to explore it, but it didn't quite feel like you can explore it too much. While some areas did offer some variety with the exploration and finding Easter eggs and all that stuff, it did not hold too tight in my gums. So therefore, here's a breakdown of who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and what's generally going on. There's a few factions in this game, such as the Russians, which are called the Reds, and there's Nazis, which are the bad guys initially. The Ranger group, which is called the Order, obviously have the big vault. They're the ones that hold all the candy, all the guns, all the weapons. They have a fancy, nice little setup going for them. However, the two other factions want in on that deal. They want to take over this. They want to unite both areas and cause chaos. Actually, I'm lying. The Nazis just want to kill everybody, and the Reds are just a bunch of egotistical assholes in this game. So, yeah. That's all I can generally say about the storyline. That's a brief breakdown. I apologize if I didn't go any deeper than anyone would want me to, but again, I'm trying to hold off as much as possible, because it's really easy for me just to blurt it out, but yeah. Overall, through and through, the controls were tight and responsive to me. I found that every single element or every single item available to me, such as grenades and, flasks and everything else in between, health kits, everything was at the touch of my fingers. I was using a gamepad on the PC copy, and it was a lot more easier to access on the keyboard and mouse. Some people, of course, feel like using a gamepad on the PC is inferior, but quite frankly, the game just feels like a console port to me. I don't know why. I mean, it looks fantastic on the PC. It looks absolutely amazing on the said computer. No complaints there whatsoever. However, again, it just did not seem advisable for me to go through all the hassle, stretch my fingers all the way across a long-ass keyboard, just where there's a couple buttons I could press and be able to access the same functions. And then it's a single-player game. It isn't like I'm playing Call of Duty or something here, guys. I mean, come on. But, in conclusion, Metro The Last Light is pretty fantastic. Everything files itself under fantastic, and it holds itself true. So, if you feel like picking up a good game, hopefully this title will be like $30 or so on a Steam sale or something in the future, or around $25, definitely go for it. A couple of my friends also mentioned that the Metro Last Light on the consoles is pretty good too, so pick it up on there if you aren't so inclined. However, I played the PC copy and will say that the PC copy will not disappoint you in the slightest. Just be sure to turn off the Teslan mode, because that will make your computer crash quite often. That isn't, of course, the developer's fault for providing some sort of realism to hair and everything like that. It's just the fact that, yeah, it makes you crash quite a bit. So that is my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.